Hello everybody. We are finally back with what is going to be part 3 of this Inscryption guide slash walkthrough, where we show off all the secrets and also walk you through some of the tougher parts of the game. Last time we went through all of part 2, finding some more bits of lore and setting up for some of the biggest secrets available that are here in part 3. Before we jump right into it, I want to ask everybody to like and subscribe as I'm going to end up splitting this part in half. So this is going to be sort of a two-part section because part 3 is just simply massive. I would say it's by far the biggest section of Inscryption, and there's just a ton to go through. And if I did it in one video, it would probably end up being, like an hour and a half or more, maybe even 2 hours. And that's just, even for me, that's a little long. So we're going to go through everything, including 2 bosses and everything, all the secrets on those sides. And then we will, on the next video, go through the other 2 bosses alongside the finale when you beat the game, as there's a couple things in there. But otherwise, just remember to like and subscribe because you don't want to miss out on that part 2 of this, as there is some really interesting and pretty cool things in here. I'd say probably my favorite secret in the entire game is in this mode. Without anything else to say, though, we're going to skip ahead and move on into the next part. So the first thing I'm going to show off is the new combat system. It has different things compared to what we saw in part 1 and even part 2. Here we have 5 lanes, and we have what is essentially a mana system. Essentially, each turn this increases by 1, and we need to pay that amount of power to do it. It's a pretty straightforward system, and we'll see more things that will allow us to alter it and mess with it a little bit, but for now, it's pretty straightforward. We're just going to gain energy. It's also important to note we actually have some special tricks, namely, you don't die when you get to 5 health. It has to tip the scale all the way. So, gotta be careful, but, we'll recover. This first section can actually be quite tricky just because you're not used to anything. One important note is that you have a hammer here, so you are able to destroy one of your robots in order to make use of other effects and place cards there. Similar to the regular combat, you also get money if you overkill, so that's useful. Otherwise, it is pretty similar to what was essentially part 1. But it's a bit more of an open world style thing. Instead of a set path, you have a bit more room to explore, although you're still generally working your way towards a specific area. But otherwise, I'm going to skip ahead through the rest of the tutorial as it just teaches you pretty basic things. But we'll see you when the next important thing comes up. Immediately after you come out of your first combat, you're presented the option to pick one of a new card to add to your deck. Now, the game is telling you to go over here. However, something that we will see a lot, if we look at this otherwise empty area, we can actually go different directions, often leading to many different secrets. For this one, we got 4 gold. I'll try to show you as many of those as I can. But I'm also not going to show off all the gold pickups, that some of them are also pretty much straightforward and out in the open, and you shouldn't miss those. If you go from the waypoint to the left and then head down from there, you will come to this area that has a bunny hopping over a bear trap. Time it correctly and you can pick up what is a pelt. We will talk about what the role of pelts later. We haven't met the character that cares about them. We've seen him a lot. I'm sure you'll figure out who it is without much work. But just that is one area to get a pelt from. After you have come to your first waypoint, you can go left or right, and you are given a choice of it. However, if you go left, the bridge is actually destroyed and you are not able to visit it. Although, as I just showed, there is a pelt over there, so I would recommend going to get that. Which means we're actually going to go right, and we will tackle the 2 bosses over here and solve that before going left and finishing it in part 2. After solving that one puzzle, we're supposed to head over here, and we got 2 more puzzles to solve. Or not really puzzles, but more so like, I guess, like CAPTCHA, essentially. Wants you to just, like, for example, turn the symbol. Relatively basic stuff for these early ones. Relatively straightforward. Then we head over here and we're able to grab the battery. That gives us the important battery that we need to continue on. There's this thing over here. Might be important later. There's something here. It's a special card. The Fishbot. So now we have essentially the Angler as one of our cards. But we return here, and we got the battery back. And we're able to continue again. So we will return whenever we get another secret. So we're going to head north for our first Uber bot that we're going to take down, which is the last remaining area with life in it. You can also go south and tackle the boss down there, but I'm just going to go up here and we'll show you off everything that lies secretly up here. Once you've made your way around the area, you can also talk to the Prospector, which opens up the bottom path. But heading through here, which there is a battle, but you come to this intersection, which actually has a hidden area over here, which has another rabbit pelt worth picking up. Upon reaching the waypoint as you continue north after many, many different battles, you're going to reach a cabin. Once you head in here, you will fight one of the 4 bosses. So you definitely will want to make sure you're ready for it. If you need to go back, the game will have already showed you this, but you can head back to the different waypoints. And this is actually a great time to show off the shop. You're able to purchase a variety of different items. Some of these are like adding cards to your deck, but you also have these 2 very expensive options over here. One of them is a 3rd pelt, but we can also get access to this item for $26. And it is actually the Nano Armor. Essentially, it's our 3rd item, and we are able to turn it in. We're able to give all of our robots the effect of the shield bot, which is the first time it takes damage, it doesn't die, it negates it. Quite useful, especially if you're saving your bots, and can really help swing the fight in your favor. Hopefully by the time you reach your first boss you have the money, but I would definitely recommend picking that up as one of your first things. Otherwise, it is time to simply go into the boss. So this is an interesting boss fight. It's got a very interesting gimmick to it. So the gimmick of this fight is you are able to take a picture of a board or roll the board back to a previous state. So we're going to take a picture of there. So see, now we would otherwise be pretty much dead. We'd be almost instantly dead here. But we can roll it back, instantly wiping away his cards. Which in turn gives us the ability to start fighting back. He'll play a lot of very strong cards, but with being able to constantly take pictures, you probably shouldn't find this overly difficult. It's one of the easier bosses out there. Just make sure to play smart. As you see, I actually saved my picture, and now I'm in a position to just outright win. But As with every boss in Inscryption, you have an entirely new one to deal with. There's a second phase, as with every boss, and you'll have to work to get through it all. As you see, we can just keep rolling it back here. If you get a good position and can take a picture of it with the board, this boss hopefully should be a relatively straightforward one. If you're having trouble with it, I'd recommend going to the shop and trying to pick up a few more items, maybe find some more cards, you know, and try to have a stronger start. Don't forget you also have several items to make use of. I didn't make any use of them there, but giving your entire board Nano Armor or filling it with explosives, it all helps and should contribute to making it a bit more manageable. The reward for winning, we get to upgrade the useless empty vessels. You're able to pick a sigil, so it can either block flyers, it can gain nano armor, or it can deal 1 damage on the retaliation. I'm personally a big fan of the retaliation, as it allows them to block and deal damage. And overall, I find it just one of the most useful. After you have defeated the boss in the northern area of Foul Backwater, we are going to head back down to Eastern Botopia, and instead of going north, we're going to head south this time. It is possible to now go to this leftern side by going to Central Botopia and just simply heading left. And that would allow you to access a few different areas, but we're going to tackle the left side in the next video. For now, we're going to stick here and we're going to go south. As soon as you enter the southern area in the graveyard, you can either head left or down after crossing the bridge. However, we also have a secret leftern path, which contains a card selection and a additional fight. Once you've made it past that fight, you're going to get access to this electricity area, which is actually a unique effect. You don't get many of these, but essentially you're able to choose one card and you can buff its power, but then if it ever dies in a combat, it's permanently gone. So you really have to be careful about this, but I like to put it on the sniper bot, as a 2-1 sniper bot can pretty much handle most things. Once you get a little bit further down, you'll be able to talk to a zombie that is able to clear this ice for you. Now, you would think that over here would be something, but there actually is no arrow. You don't need to spend time looking around for it. It's a bit strange, but otherwise, we actually do have a secret to the left of this zombie. If we keep following it, we're able to find a little bit of cash. Or actually, a fair amount of cash. Otherwise, you can just keep continuing forward towards the boss. Once you've reached the next waypoint, you're in the second half of this area. You can head north, and although there are some events, if we head all the way to the left here, here is another pelt that we can collect if you time it correctly. If you go just up from where the pelt was collected, namely after you do a fight, you can reach a well, which if you turn it once, you can collect this weird feather. Although if we keep turning, you can also get a little bit of money. And there is nothing else in there. You can spin this till your heart's content. There's nothing else. If instead of going to the left side, you go to the right side, you will normally have a fight here, but upon going up, you will reach this blue room, this blue lock. We also have a fair amount of money in this room. And if you remember, back in part 2, we collected a blue key, which allows us to unlock this. You can't get here unless you went to the Bone Lord in part 2.
What the fuck, man?
So that was the Bone Lord, and he imparted his knowledge of the old data, which is, again, related to the lore, but is essentially specific data hidden within Inscryption. Other than that, the only thing left to do is go tackle the boss, which is in the north. Now, we actually skipped ahead a little bit, but when you normally go north in this first area, they require you to find a quill in order to sign it. We actually collected that by going to the well first, which allows us to sign, and we're able to pass them, and then we are able to go fight the boss of this area. The Uberbot of this area is a really interesting one, the Librarian. So this is a very interesting boss fight. There's a lot of 1-2s you have to deal with. And the way you deal damage is very interesting within this one. So this is the unique gimmick of it. So it actually lets you go into your computer to collect a variety of things. And you can go looking in a bunch of different things for large file sizes, but you're also able to simply pick some filler ones. But this is how you deal damage to the boss. Is just keep swinging in, keep attacking. A lot of these are just filler, but you're able to do that. If you just pick a big enough one, you're able to actually win this first phase very quickly. This time it wants you to pick a file that is old. We can do that, but in reality we can just pick one of their pre-made ones. And then it threatens to delete that file if it dies. But it's actually not... it won't delete it. It simply puts it in your recycling bin and you can go fetch it back out. So you don't need to worry about the game actually just like deleting if you've picked like System 32 or something. Although we'll just win this one quite quickly. Really the main difficulty of this boss is this first phase. The difficulty is just blocking those first couple attacks. Using some empty vessels alongside whatever other cheaper cards you get allows you to just block them, and then you just need to mount a small attack. It shouldn't take long. Just make sure to choose larger files. That'll overall make it as easy as possible and make the fight very quick, as you'll be dealing tons of damage for killing those special robots. Like last time, we also get access to upgrade our empty vessels. We can pick a variety of things, but I generally prefer to take this battery improvement, as it turns all of them, pretty much means that whenever we play an empty vessel, we get to play we gain an extra energy, meaning that playing one or two of them early on not only provides us with cheap blockers, but also simply provides us with very, very powerful just defensive options. I find it a very strong option to pick from, but the others can be good. Blocking flyers does have its uses, especially if you've picked like quills like I have, and the Nano Armor just also makes them very durable. They'll last for 2 turns at least, which can give you a lot of time to survive and block some big nasty robot. After we've beaten the Librarian, we are mostly at the end of this video. Mainly, however, there is one big secret that we're going to talk about. If you head to this area, the Eastern Botopia, normally you can only go one of 3 directions, the waypoint being the 4th area. However, if we go down to the bottom right, there is this extremely hidden arrow. If we head here, there would normally be a purple lock here, which would require us to get that purple key from the mycologist in part 2. I've already accessed this and had some issues with it, so it's not there for me. But if you go through this door, there is a secret boss. Now, we're not going to tackle it in this video, as it is actually quite the difficult boss, and you need as much power as you can to beat it. So I recommend only doing this after we've pretty much beaten the entirety of part 3, as that you will have the most bang for your buck, and you'll be able to really, swing in with a lot of power. You can try it, but it can be very difficult. So we'll keep that in mind, and we'll revisit that in the next video. But otherwise, that is all we have. That is all I have for today. Tomorrow, or next video, we are going to tackle the western side of there. We got 2 more bosses to beat. We'll go fight that secret boss, and we'll finish up Inscryption entirely. If you've watched this entire video, I want to thank you so much for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. It really helps out. I'm grateful everybody's been so encouraging and happy and pleased in the comments. It definitely means a lot to me. But otherwise, I wish you all a good day.